Open this session. During the break, Costa Rica has approached the Secretariat to be put on the co-sponsor lists for the draft resolution. I will now also proceed to having Russia Federation deliver his statement over Zoom. Russian Federation will also have 3 minutes to deliver the statement. Russian Federation,
Thank you,
you have the
Madam
floor.
Chairperson. The Russian Federation and the Republic of Vanuatu have enjoyed prosperous diplomatic relations since 1986. Russia maintains its commitment to Vanuatu by supporting its initiative to seek an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice regarding climate change. Russia acknowledges climate change as a threat to the entire world and believes that the right to a healthy, clean, and sustainable environment is a human right. Our country has experienced its fair share of droughts, forest fires, and flash floods caused by climate change. Russia has recently approved a new long-term climate strategy in accordance with the Paris Agreement to mitigate future environmental harms. Russia will be carbon neutral by 2060 and supports member states' efforts towards a healthier environment. Sadly, the West does not maintain the same commitment to combating climate change, a phenomenon that the West created and is most responsible for. Since the Industrial Revolution and the rise of carbon emissions, the United Kingdom and other Western colonial empires spread an ideology of unchecked pollution in the name of economic prosperity. This carbon-emitting mentality was subsequently passed on to the West's colonial progeny and those within its sphere of influence. For example, the United States, the world's largest carbon emitter, has shown its lack of commitment to combating climate change on a global scale by failing to ratify the Kyoto Protocol and wavering from the Paris Agreement. While small nations, such as Vanuatu, struggle to adapt to the changing climate, the West focuses on reducing the use of fossil fuels, a primary driver of the economy of many developing nations, without proper international consultation. Efforts to lessen the use of fossil fuels only strengthens the West's position over developing nations. Lack of international communication has had the opposite effect of what Western nations intended. Western economic sanctions have caused delays over crucial repairs to the Nord Stream 1 pipeline. The economic sanctions resulted in a rise of oil prices across Europe and the United States, severely harming the West itself and proving that international communication is necessary for any climate policy. Peace of future generations is paramount to the West's geopolitical games. Vanuatu has suffered enough at the hands of Western powers, most notably the Spanish, the French, and the British through their infamous colonizer James Cook. Russia will stand by Vanuatu, but we cannot, by any means, condone the West's colonialist behavior by agreeing to their terms.
Thank you, Russia. We will now proceed to the next part of this session. I would like to open the speakers list. Countries who wish to introduce amendments to the draft resolution, please raise your placards now to be put on the speakers list. I have Brazil, France, Japan, Madagascar, and the United States of America. Are there any other countries who would like to put themselves on the speakers list? That is a no. Thank you. I would like to call upon the delegation of Brazil to introduce your proposed amendments. Please indicate the paragraph number and read out the paragraph as per your changes. Thank you.
So the first amendment that Brazil would like to make is to paragraph 9, and it reads as follows. Recalling UN General Assembly Resolution A75217 on protection of the global climate for present and future generations of humankind, and its conclusion that the nationally determined contributions presented thus far by the parties to the Paris Agreement are not sufficient to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and that this gap has created a climate crisis which must be bridged predominantly by the developed nations, keeping in mind their role and responsibility as historical emitters. Thank you. The second amendment that we propose is to the second question in the last paragraph, where this is the change that we have made. What are the common but differentiated obligations of member states, international organizations, and other legal persons to stabilize the climate and to provide effective mitigation and adaptation relating to global temperature rises already experienced as a result of human activity? So the only insertion here is common but differentiated obligations. Thank you.
Thank you, Brazil. All right, I'll call upon the next country who has been put on the speakers list. France, you have the floor. Please propose your amendments.
Thank you, Chair. France will be proposing only one amendment to paragraph 12, which starts with welcoming decisions of the International Court of Justice.
Slower, please.
Yes. So paragraph 12, we would like to propose to delete the last section, which starts with welcoming also the relevant cases in domestic codes and ends with to a stable and sustainable climate. We propose to delete this whole section.
Thank you. I will now call upon Japan for your proposed amendments. You have the floor.
Le Japon voudrait proposer deux amendements. Le premier, sur le paragraphe 6, enlever se félicitant de l'adoption de la Déclaration des États-Unis sur le droit de l'homme en environnement propre, sain et durable, exhortant à sa peine mise en œuvre conformément aux principes du droit international de l'environnement. Pour notre deuxième amendement, nous souhaitons informer Monsieur le Président et Miss Chair que nous soutiendrons l'amendement des États-Unis et que nous retirons donc le deuxième amendement proposé.
Thank you, Japan. I will now call upon Madagascar. You have the floor for your proposed amendments.
Thank you, Chair. Madagascar would like to do one amendment. Paragraph 8. We would like to add at the end, after possible, emphasizing the importance of respecting the principle of common but differentiated.
I will now call upon the United States of America. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We have one proposed amendment, and that is to strengthen the language of the resolution by concentrating the two questions proposed to the ICJ to one question. And I will read the question, if that's all right. Whether current generations, comma, of member states, comma, have a common but differentiated responsibility to provide mitigation and adaptation in the face of a changing climate under binding international law to encourage a stable and livable climate.
Thank you, delegates. The Secretariat will now take some time to incorporate the proposed amendments in the rolling text of the draft resolution. We would like to also request the country delegations who have proposed these amendments to come forward to the Secretariat to ensure that we have accurately incorporated your amendments. Thank you. We will break for 5 proposed amendments. We will now break for 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you.